What is going on? It's been a while since I've been here on YouTube Live. It took me a while to figure out the lighting situation here, so sorry about that. Anyhow, I'm going to jump right in. The whole idea behind this live, since you may or may not know, this past June, we've been doing this whole intermittent fasting challenge. Maybe you missed the video. I don't know if you saw it or not, but if you didn't, you can go back to the beginning of June's videos and you'll see there's a 28-day intermittent fasting challenge. So in honor of that, whether you're doing that challenge or not, I wanted to hop on and I wanted to answer some of what I would consider to be the 10 most common intermittent fasting questions. It doesn't mean they're the best questions, the worst questions, anything like that. I just want to go through them because these are ones that just hit in the comment sections all the time. So the whole idea behind this 28-day challenge was really just building community. I love doing that with this audience. I love doing that with you guys. I try to do challenges like once every 6 months or once every 3 months. So anyhow, if you're hopping on here, if you're live, go ahead and introduce yourself, say hello, say where you're watching from. That way I can shout you out, say hello as well. So we'll spend the next minute and a half doing that, just saying hello to people. So if I'm glancing down to this side of the screen, it's just because that's where the comment section is. So what's going on, Matt? What's going on, Christine? Awesome seeing you here. Pat Casey, good to see you. We've got, let's see, Gabe, good to see you here. We've got Gary. We've got awesome, great stuff. We got SoCal, we got Smelly Cat in SoCal, we've got Jason in California, we've got Little B in New York, we've got Rachel DeLong in Ohio, we've got John, we've got, wow, this is going in so fast, holy cow. So here we go, we've got, man, this is awesome. It's just blowing up. Okay, we've got, let's see, Amanda, Victoria, Jay. I can't even go this fast. So you guys are awesome. All right. So we've got a good amount of people on here already. So I want to just, keep on just getting this momentum going, getting a few more people on here before I dive into the details. And just again, I'll kind of recap. This 28-day fasting challenge was all about doing sort of an alternate day fasting approach, but really what is called a 175-25 or a 5-2 approach, which was more about consuming a lot of food on your feasting day and consuming 25% of that calorie count on your fasting day. So it was sort of alternate day fasting, but it was more so really strict intermittent fasting one day followed by not intermittent fasting. And that's really the pattern that I like to follow. And I will talk about that as we get into the details here. So let me go ahead and start off with what I would say the number one question that has been coming up recently is, and that is how frequently should you fast? Okay, well, this is a very relative question. How frequently you should fast really depends on a number of things. I will tell you my opinion and what I do personally, and then I'll kind of share what you might want to figure out. So personally, I like to fast every other day, or I'd like to fast like 3 to 4 days per week. Now, the reason behind that is I like fasting to remain the anomaly. And what I mean by that is I always like fasting to be the shock to the system. I don't want it to be the norm because my metabolism adjusts accordingly. And I talk about that in my videos a lot. So for me, it makes a lot more sense for me to fast like every other day or even less frequently than that, so that when my body receives that signal of a fast, it still gets the shock from it. And I still get the body composition effect, whereas it's not becoming the norm. See, I don't want my body to establish fasting as the norm, and then when I don't fast, have that be the anomaly where my body holds on to extra food. So that's very, very important to me. Now, the question for you might be, okay, well, I'm not necessarily in it for body composition, or I like fasting and I want to fast more. Well, then you have to just ask yourself, are you okay with following this intermittent fasting lifestyle for the rest of your life and following the pattern that you're doing? And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you were doing, say, 16/8 intermittent fasting every day, your metabolism is going to adjust to that. So you need to be okay with the fact that that might be the norm for you. Because when you do go outside of that continuum, then you're going to end up in a position where it's a lot easier for you to gain weight. So as long as you are okay with that being the norm, then that's totally fine. Hey, can everyone just smash that thumbs up button, please? That would really help us out a lot. Make sure that this video ranks well and make sure that everyone that's on my channel can see this video at some time in the future. That way, just, that little thumbs up button would help out a lot. Another thing that you can do to determine how frequently you should fast, okay, you can look at things like your heart rate variability. Now, I know that's a little bit more complex, but I'll throw it out there anyway, and I'll touch on it for just a second. So if you use an Oura ring or you use a Whoop strap or anything like that, you can measure your heart rate variability, and that's going to tell you your strain and how stressed out you are. Fasting is going to stress you out. It's normal. Okay, so if you start feeling like you're really worn down, or your scores, if you're measuring your HRV, are showing that you're worn out, then that's not exactly the best time to fast, and you may want to wean it back a little bit. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Like 3 days per week might not always be your norm. Sometimes you might be able to handle more like 4 or 5. Some weeks, if you're really getting sick or anything like that, you might be down to like 1 day a week. And I modulate that all the time. So it's something to definitely be paying attention to. Someone asked, can I skip dinner? I absolutely recommend skipping dinner. I think skipping dinner is actually even better than skipping breakfast as far as what it does for your circadian rhythms, as far as what it does for overall fat metabolism. Now, I've talked about this. The hard part is I do so many videos. Not everyone gets to see everything all the time, right? So we have to look at the big picture here. So when I look at fasting, I look at just varying different times. I like to fast through breakfast sometimes. I like to fast through dinner sometimes. All depends on what I'm doing. For fat loss, I do think that you do a little bit better if you break through dinner, fast through dinner, but that's hard to do for families. It's hard to do in a lot of cases. So what I would typically recommend is periodically throw that in there, and it's going to remain a shock. Remember, you want to be fasting through all different time periods. It's really great for you have different gut microbiome, you have different things happening at different times of the day. And if you fast through those different times, you're getting different results each time. Right? So if I fast through breakfast, I have my own set of gut bacteria and everything that's happening there, hormones and stuff, and I fast through there, that's going to elicit one response. Fasting through dinner is going to elicit an entirely different response. So it's nice to kind of mix it up all the time. Okay, then when I move into the next question, let's see. Oh, should you work out fasted? Now, it seems like a little bit of a blanket, vague question, but I'm going to touch on it just in the utterly most simplistic way. If you are fasting, your body is going to lose what you don't use. Your body is in a very survival-oriented mechanism, oriented time at that time. So it's really like ready to survive and preserve. And whatever you give attention to, your body is going to preserve. Okay, so if you are sitting on the couch doing nothing while you're fasting, your body is going to see that as, well, I don't really need this muscle because this person's in survival, but they're just sitting there. Let's preserve something else. But if you keep a little bit of tension on those muscles and you activate them a little bit, it can do a big, big service for you in terms of your body recognizing, oh, I'm in survival mode, but he's still using these muscles. So let's do what we can to preserve them because they're clearly important to survival. So the bottom line is, yes, work out. How intensely should you work out? That's going to depend on you and how frequently you fast and how, for someone that's just starting intermittent fasting, all of a sudden you start working out a bunch while you're fasting. It might be a little bit heavy on your body, but if you've been fasting for a year or 2 years and you've been practicing it, you can probably handle a lot more because your body's going to be able to deal with that strain much more. Okay. Omar, you said how to make fasting easier or less painful. I actually answer that question towards the end of this. It's one of the questions. So let's go ahead and kind of keep on moving on. Hey guys, can you remember to hit that thumbs up button as well? And just also for the record, this is that 28-day intermittent fasting challenge. So if you are doing that challenge, could you go ahead and comment, say, I'm doing the challenge, just so I know who here is a part of that. If you're watching this broadcast on replay or later on in the year and you're not doing the challenge, you can always go back to the beginning of June when I had that content released. That lays out the full protocol and everything. So it just might help people out if you're looking for the meal plan that kind of goes along with this live broadcast that I'm talking about. Also, a big thank you and a shout out. I put a link down below for Thrive Market, just so you guys know. It was a special deal for those that were doing the challenge, but if you're doing this broadcast, you can still check them out. So that link is down below for Thrive Market. So that's going to get you 25% off of a membership, as well as a free gift if you utilize Thrive Market. So getting your keto stuff, getting your fasting groceries, all that. So there's a link down below, and a big thank you to them as well. And thank to you guys for, again, allowing me to create this content and for supporting the sponsors that make this all possible too. Moving on, should you restrict calories during the eating window? I love this one because intermittent fasting is, in some eyes, seen as caloric restriction. Like, is fasting itself just reducing calories because you're not eating and you're consolidating your eating window and therefore you're going to consume less calories? In some ways, yes. But the question still remains, like, should you try to restrict calories more when you're actually eating? And the answer is no, but I don't think you should gorge yourself either. Okay, you should eat somewhat ad libitum, how it feels right. Okay. What I don't want you to do is restrict calories aggressively during your eating window and put yourself into a deficit to where your body feels like you're just doing a low-calorie diet. There's plenty of evidence that demonstrates a low-calorie diet versus intermittent fasting, and the low-calorie diet does not perform as well because the low-calorie diet is going to trigger that metabolic response for everything to slow down. Intermittent fasting actually speeds up your metabolism during the time that you're fasting because it's a shock and it's adrenaline spike. So when your adrenaline gets going, your body is like freaking out, trying to figure out what to do. So it upregulates everything to give you energy so that you can survive. Because your body sees it as, I'm fasting, I need energy, I need to go and find food. Let's give this guy whatever he needs. Okay, it's not until late stages of starvation that you actually start getting lethargic and sickly. Okay, so in the beginning, you're actually upregulating metabolism. So what you want to do is you want to eat sufficiently when you do feast. That's why I'm very adamant about calling it fasting and feasting, because when you eat, you should feast. That doesn't mean you eat donuts and then you eat Ben and Jerry's ice cream. It means that you do good things and you choose the right foods, but you eat sufficient calories. Should you try to get to your daily calorie count? Like if you normally eat 2,500 calories, should you try to eat 2,500 calories in your eating window? That really is a hard question to answer because it depends on how long you're eating, like how long you're fasting, how long your eating window is. If your eating window is only 4 hours, I wouldn't necessarily suggest trying to cram 2,500 calories in, but you should eat ad libitum. Eat enough for that respective meal, but definitely don't restrict it because you're going to dig yourself into this metabolic hole. Your body is burning calories when you're fasting. Your body is burning calories when you're eating. Okay. With fasting, you are really getting this additional benefit of an accelerated metabolism during the fast. It's not just calories in, calories out. Although that does matter, the fact that you're not eating food during your fast is absolutely relevant, but you're also getting this additional bonus of an extra percentage of your resting metabolic rate increasing, meaning you are burning more calories simply at rest during your fasted period. Okay, it seems kind of backwards, but it is that way. Okay, guys, don't forget, please hit that thumbs up button. We got 340 likes. I'd love to see this. We got over 700 people on this broadcast. So let's get those likes up to over 1,000 so YouTube knows I'm not a total chump. Okay, then number 4, this is a common question. Does coffee or tea break a fast? No, it does not break a fast as long as you are not adding creamer, as long as you are not adding sugar. I am even okay with a little bit of artificial sweetener, although I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'm okay with monk fruit. I'm okay with stevia. If you want to use Splenda or aspartame, that's really on you. I'm not going to tell you that's good, bad, or ugly because I know that's a sensitive area for people. Bottom line is the 5 to 10 calories that you're getting from coffee or tea are not going to affect your fast negatively, if you ask me, simply because they can put you deeper into a fasted state and they help with lipolysis. They help mobilize fats. So lipolysis versus beta oxidation. Lipolysis is where you have the fat stored in the adipose tissue and you're actually releasing the fats into the bloodstream. During fasting, you burn the fats that are circulating a lot easier. So what you need is tools to help liberate fat more. Coffee and tea help liberate fat more. So I'm not saying that you're not going to have success if you don't drink coffee or tea. But what I am saying is don't worry about having black coffee. Don't worry about having black tea or green tea that's unsweetened or doesn't have creamer. It's only going to help you. I don't think it's going to hurt you. There are some people out there that will say, yeah, it's going to stop autophagy. It's going to do this. There's also a lot of evidence that shows that coffee induces autophagy or the cellular recycling and repair. So I don't want you freaking out about it. I think it's a really moot point. I think it's such a negligible thing. And if you're trying to fast for absolute like spiritual purity reasons, then yeah, you should keep it clean. I mean, that's a whole different ball game. But metabolically speaking, I think the coffee and tea will actually help you. Yeah, so many good questions. What about sugar-free hazelnut? I really wouldn't add that during a fast still. Almond milk with coffee? Nope, I would still keep it black coffee. How to combat hunger during fasting? We'll talk about that in just a moment. So I'm just answering some questions here. Scott Matheson, bro, your tips helped me drop 30 pounds in 4 months. Awesome news. I love hearing that stuff. Any tips on what to do the day after binge drinking or eating? Don't be reactive, be proactive. Do not try to fast as a result of doing something bad the day prior. That builds a really bad binge-like mentality. And I feel like you're better off to plan than to react. Okay, so just roll with the punches, get right back into it. Let's see. Athletic Greens breaks a fast? Yes, it does. Does GABA break a fast? No, GABA would be okay. 13 pounds down in 1 month. Crystal, that's awesome. MCT and butter in my coffee. It's a different kind of fasting. So as it pertains to today's video, I would say no, but I have done videos talking about MCT specifically during fasting because it can help ketogenesis and it can help fat adaptation and it can help you get the ketogenic benefits of a fast. So it's a little bit different. So MCT in a fast, there's a specific use case for it. Guys, please don't hit that thumbs up button. It helps a lot. And then also just a quick reminder again, just because they are a supporter or sponsor, check out Thrive Market down below in the channel or in the channel description, and in the video description. So that's 25% off Thrive Market. So all your keto, all your goodies. So again, that link is down below. And again, that's just for people that are on this broadcast, that 25% off. So make sure that you check that out afterwards. Again, that's like special discount. Also gets you a free gift when you sign up using that. And a big thank you to all of you for putting up with me and putting up with my sponsors and everything like that. I know it can be frustrating sometimes. It is how the channel keeps going, and I try to pick ones that are relevant. Okay, here we go. What's the longest that you should fast was another question that came up that I felt was really, really good. And that is a very relative question once again. I've divided into 3 categories. Okay, intermittent fasting. The longest I think you should fast is 22 hours. I think that's just a great length fast for intermittent fasting, meaning you're doing it multiple times per week. Okay, that's category 1. For prolonged fasting that is like body composition oriented, I wouldn't recommend going more than like 72 hours if you're just looking for body composition. And that would be like once a month, okay? So 72 hours for body composition, because after that, you start to have a little bit of a diminishing return. You can actually start losing some muscle. Then when it comes down to autophagy, when it comes down to cellular rejuvenation, when it comes down to potential stem cells, when it comes down to those kinds of things, I would say 7 days. Now, is that the utter maximum you could ever do? Absolutely not. I know plenty of people that have done longer fasts. That's totally on you. I'm just dividing into these 3 categories that I think are, for lack of a better term, and I'm not a doctor, safe in my opinion, okay, and relevant, okay? So 22 hours if you're doing it multiple times per week, prolonged fasting for body composition effects up to 72 hours, and longer fast if you're doing it for purity reasons and for that kind of stuff, then I'd say 7. I hope that answers that question. You know, people keep asking about apple cider vinegar. Yes, it's absolutely okay on a fast. Let that be known. Apple cider vinegar is good to go. Actually deepens the AMPK state, which means that it actually allows your body to sense that you're deeper in a fast, therefore upregulating the liberation of fatty acids and upregulating even the release of glycogen from the muscle tissue. So when your body sees that you're deeper in an AMPK state, it basically registers in your brain and your hypothalamus that you're deeper in a fast, deeper than you are, which is pretty cool. Let's see. There's some questions here. Better to skip breakfast or dinner? I still think skip dinner. Will this stream stay up after it's over? Yes, it absolutely will. Fiber and water. I would add your fiber after you break your fast. Don't do it during your fast. It's still very metabolic. On a feasting day, how far apart should you aim your meals? Good question. I usually say 60 to 90 minutes. I keep them pretty short, but it depends on how long your feasting period is once again. Hey guys, thanks again. Make sure you keep hitting that thumbs up button. I know we got a lot of new people hopping on here, and if you're just hopping on, right now we're live, but you can definitely go back and watch the beginning of this video. We're about halfway through. Okay, the next one is, do electrolytes break a fast? You've probably seen a number of my videos that I talk about electrolytes. So I'll just make it very simple. Electrolytes do not break a fast. If anything, they are going to allow you to go longer. And a lot of times when we are fasting, a lot of our loss of performance and our loss of our mental function isn't due to malnutrition. It's because we end up having a deficiency in sodium or deficiency in electrolytes that are just messing up sort of our nerve signaling, messing up some of our action potential. So we're not actually signaling the signal properly. Boris says, I've gained weight immediately after a couple of 20-hour fast. That's usually just inflammation related. Your body's just responding. So I wouldn't worry about that. Okay. Boris, just wanted to answer that super chat question. So the electrolytes, if you add sodium into the mix, it's actually allowing you to get, I don't want to say deeper into a fast, but it's likely not kicking you out. Now, you have a choice of going flavored or unflavored. I would usually use ones that are sweetened with monk fruit or stevia. Do not go with ones that are sweetened with Splenda or aspartame, or definitely look for ones that have acesulfame K, acesulfame potassium, or ACE K in the ingredients. I usually recommend Element. I talk about them all the time. So you can always check them out. It's LMNT. And also Thrive Market has them down below. So if you use the link for Thrive Market, you can go on there and you can search for LMNT electrolytes. Those are my favorite fasting electrolytes. So if you're going over even 12 hours, I would add electrolytes in, because your body is still going to lose those electrolytes just because your insulin levels are lower. And if you're doing keto along with fasting, it's even more important because your insulin levels are even lower. Okay. Sorry, so many good questions coming through. I want to make sure I answer a few of them. Herbal teas, you're absolutely okay to have. Vaping, yes, you're okay. Let's see. Wow. Okay, someone's asked. Okay. Hang on. I got to. No, come back. There's one that's just been like. I got to put. There we go. I got to hide some user because it was just copy and pasting his question until I saw it. So, okay, there we go. Are nutrition drinks like Boost or Ensure good for during your eating period? Yeah, those could work pretty well. Again, you're still getting a lot of sugar and stuff like that, but if you're just trying to get your calories up. Can you take pre-workout after breaking your fast? After breaking your fast, yes, you're fine. Branched chain amino acids, things like that, you don't want to have during your fast. Okay, let's see. How should you break a fast? Which a lot of you probably already know since I talk about it so much on my channel. But breaking a fast, in my opinion, is simple. Lean, clean protein, get that out of the way. Okay. It takes a lot of digestive load to break down fats. And during your fast, your body restricts some things. Okay, it upregulates your metabolism, but also restricts digestive components and reallocates energy. So you lose digestive enzyme potential, which means that when you break your fast, you don't have a lot of enzymes. Now, fats, breaking down fats, require a lot of enzymes. Okay, pancreatic lipase, they require that function. Well, you're deficient in that. So you're going to end up not utilizing those fats, and it ends up causing digestive discomfort, but also just malabsorption. So right when you break a fast, protein's the best bet. Now, Carbohydrates are easier to digest, but we run into a problem with carbohydrates. We don't want this insulin spike right when we break our fast. We want a protein spike that's going to trigger insulin, but along with glucagon. The bottom line is lean, clean protein. Someone asked, for alternate day, 20-hour fasting, what's the best way to incorporate keto here? Should I keto on the fast days and maintain on the... You know what? If you're really strict keto, Jasar, I would just stay keto all the time. Keto on your fasting days and keto on your non-fasting days, and just stay strict like that. You're going to get much better benefit if you're trying to stay keto there. Okay, so then when it comes down to how you should eat next, okay, so you break your fast with maybe 30 to 50 grams of lean protein, no added fats, okay? And then 60 to 90 minutes later, or even 30 to 90 minutes later, you have your larger meal, and that's when you can start adding vegetables in and stuff like that. I don't like having carbs right when you break a fast because you get a pretty big insulin spike, which can be very detrimental to, well, for one, thiamine levels, but it can also be detrimental to the sort of the sodium gradient. It can allow sodium to flush into the cell too much, too fast, which lowers your blood plasma levels of sodium. So we don't want to do that. So that's why people get lightheaded after they have a bunch of carbohydrates after they break a fast. So I'm not opposed to having carbs. I just want you to have lean protein first. Then if you're having carbs, introduce them 30 to 90 minutes later after you've already started to digest your protein. So many great questions. Geekdom, someone says, you're totally in geek land here. How not to lose weight doing IF and keto in general. Lucas, it's a good question. If you're not trying to lose weight, I would probably only fast 2 or 3 days per week, or fast every day and make sure that your calories are sufficient. So you would be in this situation where you either want fasting to be an extreme anomaly or you want fasting to be the norm. So your body adjusts to it. Okay, another question that I just want to make sure I answer. How to overcome a fasting plateau. So you're stuck, you've been fasting for a while. How do you overcome this plateau? What do you do? Well, the first thing that I would recommend is when you start reaching these plateaus, there's a number of things you can do, but I would say on the days that you are fasting, after you break your fast, keep it just protein for a couple days. Okay, so like if you're fasting 3 days per week, take 2 days out of the week where after you break your fast, you're just consuming protein and veggies. Just keeping the fats out of the equation, keeping the carbs out of the equation. It's going to be brutal days, but those are ways that really does get you through those hurdles because your body is really trying to utilize fat as a fuel at that point. And if you don't give it the fat after you finish your fast, your body's going to keep burning that fat. And you're at least giving yourself protein to allow your body to metabolize that and not break down tissue. It's basically a modified, what's called protein-sparing modified fast, which we can do during our eating days. Additionally, what you may want to consider doing, it sounds crazy, is take 2 weeks off of fasting and just do some form of like a lower carb. You don't have to go full keto. Maybe just allocate your carbohydrates to the morning time or just separately to the evening time. So just either one or the other, and then take 2 weeks off of fasting and then go back to it. It makes a pretty significant difference. Another thing you may want to consider doing is reducing the fasting days down to like 1 day per week, but doing a 22 or 24-hour fast instead. Those are very effective ways to break the plateau. And you don't want to make it a norm per se. You just want to do it occasionally just to shock the body. But I typically find that if I stop responding to fasting, that by taking a couple weeks off and then just changing my workout intensity a little bit, it actually kicks me right through those. And I plateau for different reasons: mental, body composition, water retention, whatever. Guys, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, please. Okay, we have what to do if you get hungry. Well, the first thing is, if you're hungry during a fast, a lot of times you should change how you start your fast. So I would recommend starting your fast with something like having some soluble fiber in there, some chia, some flax, some fenugreek, okay, some galactomannan fiber, some glucomannan fiber from like shirataki noodles. Those fibers hold so much water, they keep you satiated for a very long time, but they also feed your gut bacteria for a long time, which can help glucose tolerance, which helps kind of the glucose signaling so that you end up not having these blood sugar roller coasters. Okay, so I would highly recommend adding more fiber to the meal you eat right before you break your or start your fast. And it makes a big difference in how you feel during your fast. I promise you that. Additionally, apple cider vinegar makes a big difference. Coffee makes a big difference because, again, it's going to mobilize more fat. If you're mobilizing more fat, you may not physically be eating, but your cells now have fuel. Okay, there's two things you have to look at: digestive hunger and actual metabolic hunger. When you're metabolically hungry, it means your cells are deprived of food and they're not getting what they need. But if you're deep in a fast, if everything is operating efficiently, you should be mobilizing enough fat from the adipocyte into the bloodstream. The cells actually get their fuel. And then the cells send a signal to the brain saying, hey, we're perfectly satiated. Even though this dude's not eating, we're satiated because the brain got the signal that the cell got the food. Therefore, the hunger signal stops. So you really need to look at ways, how do I mobilize more fat? One of my favorite things to do when I get hungry is go for a slow walk. It sounds so counterproductive, but I'm telling you, when you walk, you liberate fats. And all of a sudden the cells are like, nom, 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 nom. I got my fat. I'm happy. I send the signal to the brain. The brain shuts down that signal for ghrelin, and you're good. Okay. So it's very simple stuff, but going for a little walk just makes a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous difference. I can't recommend that more. Like low intensity too, like 40, 50% max heart rate. Just go for a walk with your family, take the dog for a walk. Plus mentally what it does. But apple cider vinegar will put you deeper into that fasted state, which will help the signaling. Coffee will liberate more fat. Green tea will liberate more fat. Herbal tea might just keep your mind off of things. So it's not necessarily going to help you immensely. Anyway, so just kind of factor those things in. Someone says, what are some examples of lean protein to break a fast? Lean chicken, lean ground turkey, lean ground chicken, lean white fish, tuna, shrimp, scallops, any of those kind of lean shellfish I think are great. Also pea protein shake. If you like whey protein, you can do whey protein. Just make sure it's whey protein isolate and make sure you don't get like if you feel foggy after having a whey protein shake, it's usually a sign you shouldn't be doing that when you break a fast. I don't feel good with whey when I break a fast. I usually use pea, but I'm not opposed to whey. I just don't feel great with it. And then, okay, how many calories breaks a fast? I wanted to end with this one because I feel like this one is so simple but so important. I think if I just gave you a hard number, 10 calories at a time, okay, and no more than 20 calories throughout the course of a day. A cup of coffee is going to have 3 to 5 calories. You're not going to break a fast, right? So there's certain things you have to look at. How many calories are actually going to really break a fast? Is it going to affect the body composition effects of a fast? Is it going to affect the autophagic flux, like the liver sort of autophagy that's occurring? Those things all matter, but I think a simple number is like, no more than 10 calories at a time. But again, you have to remember that the FDA regulations and how they actually like look at calories, like they'll round up. So if there's 6 calories, they'll usually round up to 10. If there's 1 calorie, a lot of times it'll round up to 5. Okay, so some brands will actually put the literal calorie, but usually they round up. So if you're looking at things like electrolyte packets are going to have like, 5 calories. Usually it's really more like 1. But anyway, it's just something to pay attention to. So do not exceed 20 calories throughout the entirety of your fast. And it should all be coming from no fats. It should be coming from just random little things, polyphenols, little bits of coffee here and there that add up. The occasional 2 calories that might come from my Crystal Light packet, for hypothetical sense. Dasar says, carbs to fat ratio on a lower carb day with fasted training 6 days a week. How do I know how many carbs to consume on the daily? That's a very personal question because it can vary widely. But I would still skew more higher on the fat side, like 2 to 1 fat to carbs, honestly. I would still recommend that. I'm not a big fan of going super high on the carbs, even though I'm not opposed to carbs. Which whey protein do you recommend? Lono, if I used whey protein, I usually use Isopure totally unflavored because it's literally 1 ingredient. So it's Isopure unflavored whey, which they have at Walmart too, and you can get it online too. Kathy, I already answered the plateau question. So hopefully if you didn't see it, you can go back and check that out. Being in pain, breaking a fast, insulin increase with pain. Yeah, that's how long without food before you are in a fasted state? Danny, it's a great question. That's a really good question. It varies widely on the person. I usually say like 3 hours you're like fasted. Most of the digestive processes have slowed down by that point. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop off. I got to get going to the family. We are going to get away for a couple of days, go to Disneyland now that things are open in California. So you go have a little bit of fun. Anyway, I will still be posting videos. I have a video coming out this afternoon. As always, 1 to 2 videos. So you guys are super awesome. I want to answer this one more question. What does it mean in your body breaks a fast? What's stopping? What breaks autophagy? That's the question. That's the thing. It's totally random, right? What breaks a fast? What stops autophagy? What stops fat burning? It varies widely. So autophagy, I'd say 1 calorie stops autophagy, but it kicks right back up too. Okay, so it's all kind of relative. How long does it typically take to reverse insulin resistance? Geekdom, as much as I would love to answer that question, I have to be careful answering anything that is considered an actual disease. So insulin resistance is something that I cannot speak to in terms of specific timeframes and reversal. But I will say that a lot of studies have demonstrated that just 6 weeks of a ketogenic diet, 6 weeks of intermittent fasting can have a very positive effect on that. And I think you can see some effects even sooner. Okay. Hey, don't forget to check out Thrive Market. Please, please, please. Even if it's just to check them out and take a look, I would appreciate it because it does help out this channel, keeps us producing content. That's how we're able to pump out the volume that we can because we have support from awesome sponsors and people like you. So please do make sure check them out. Cruciferous vegetables are okay after you break a fast, not during, by the way, Howard. All right, you guys are awesome. Keep it locked in here on my channel, and I will see you. You know the deal tomorrow.